Small Soldiers is a 1998 PG-13 American action comedy film directed by Joe Dante. It spawned lots of toys based on the characters from the movie, as well as several video games and a board game. The main plot consists of two opposing toy factions, the Gorgonites and the Commando Elite, given sentience through military microchips and causing havoc in a small neighborhood, with several human bystanders involved in the battle. The film used a combination of practical, animatronics, and CGI to bring the toys to life. The film never received a sequel or remake as of the making of this video. It has grossed over $71 million with an estimated $40 million budget. Since its release, the film has garnered a cult following, with some devoted fans making their own replicas of the toys, collecting merchandise, and discussing the film at length. During the film's release, several video game adaptations were developed and released. Small Soldiers for the PS1 and Game Boy. The PS1 version of the game does not follow the original film's plot, instead opting to take place in the real fantasy world of Gorgon, home of the Gorgonites. You play as Archer in a third-person perspective as he must defeat the Commando Elite with his crossbow, which would operate more like a gun with multiple ammunition types. Meanwhile, the Game Boy version followed the plot of the film in a more simplistic platformer. Small Soldiers Squad Commander is a 2D top-down RTS that also does not follow the original plot of the film. Instead opts to tell about the fictional town of New Bedford, with the Gorgonite toys thwarting the Commando Elite toys from ruling the world, with Commando Elite toy factories creating their army. You could actually pick between Commando Elite Campaign or Gorgonite Campaign, each with their own unique story and endings. Small Soldiers Globotech Design Lab for the PC is a strategy game where you can customize and create your own Gorgonite or Commando Elite characters, or select from a number of presets in order to battle the opposing team. We could be here all day about the unique and interesting merchandise that spawned from the movie, but in addition to multiple toys of the Commando Elite and Gorgonites, other merch included lunchboxes, clothes, party favors, backpacks, popcorn buckets, pens, hats, binders, folders, stickers, and so much more. Starting with the film's human cast, we have our protagonist, Alan, played by Gregory Smith, along with his potential love interest, Christy Fimple, played by Kirsten Dunst. Alan's mother and father were played by Anne Magnuson and Kevin Dunn, respectively, while Christy's mother and father were played by Wendy Shaw and Phil Hartman, respectively. The Globotech employees in the beginning of the film, who kickstart the plot, were played by David Cross and Jay Moore, with the CEO of Globotech played by Dennis Leary. Starting with the voice actors for the Gorgonites, we had Frank Langella as Archer, Christopher Guest as Slamfist/Scratchit, Michael McKean as Insaniac and Troglodyte, Harry Shearer as Punchit, Jim Cummings as Ocula, Michael McKean as Freakenstein. Moving on to the Commando Elite, we had Tommy Lee Jones as Major Chip Hazard, George Kennedy as Brick Bazooka, Jim Brown as Butch Meathook, Ernest Borgnine as Kip Killigan, Clint Walker as Nick Nitro, Bruce Dern as Link Static. In addition, Sarah Michelle Gellar and Christina Ricci voiced the Gwendy dolls. Upon its original release, reception on the film was mixed. Siskel and Ebert famously gave the movie 2 thumbs down, while Caroline Westbrook of Empire gave it 3 out of 5 stars. On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 49% based on 47 reviews, with an average rating of 6.10 out of 10. Audience polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B+ on an A+ to F scale. When the new Globotech employees, Irwin and Larry, were given login passwords to access the Globotech database, Irwin's password was Gizmo, a nod to Gizmo the Mogwai from director Joe Dante's Gremlins films. On June 21st, 2023, Comadron Studios uploaded a proof-of-concept trailer using Unreal Engine 5 titled Small Soldiers War for the Necron onto YouTube. Comadron Studios' history is relatively unknown when looking them up online, and their LinkedIn page states that they were founded in 2021. The trailer shows incredibly toy-like models of two rival factions, the Space Elite and the Necronites. Their Instagram page, small_soldiers_official, provides high-quality character models of each character in the trailer that provides lore dumps of both factions and why they are in conflict in the first place. Their last Instagram post was on August 2023, and no additional updates from the Comadron Studios can be seen at the time of the recording of this video. After digging into more of Comadron Studios' history, they are relatively known in the mobile gaming space, and their last, and it appears only, project was Metabot's Card Battle RPG game, which was later renamed to MyBots as a result of a trademark dispute. After looking into the original mobile reviews of the game, many users claim that this was a classic example of a microtransaction-riddled game that blocked progress until the player spends real money for a better chance in progressing. This is where I started seeing Reddit comments on the trailer that have asserted that the studio is allegedly nostalgia-baiting Small Soldiers fans with this proof-of-concept trailer by avoiding using any of the original characters due to copyright as a way to possibly get a company or publisher to help fund this into another mobile game. Another person even claims that they purchased the copyright currently to the Small Soldiers name, but not the IP, and are attempting to use the popularity of the property, similar to what was being done to the Metabots IP. Again, without a true record of communication and updates from Comadron Studios, it's hard to tell if anything would ever come from this project, especially after nearly a year of radio silence. Link to the trailer will be in the description below. Phil Hartman plays Phil Fimple, Christy's father in the Small Soldiers movie. Aside from Small Soldiers, Hartman is well known in a number of other roles, including voicing various characters in The Simpsons, as well as starring in many movies, including Three Amigos, Blind Date, Coneheads, House Guest, and Jingle All the Way. On May 27, 1998, Hartman was fatally shot and killed by his wife, Bjorn, during a domestic discord, according to investigators. Small Soldiers would release theatrically in the same year in July, with the film being considered Hartman's last on-screen role before his death and is dedicated to his memory. Universal Pictures is a production and distribution film company involved with the Small Soldiers movie, and was very heavily involved with some of the marketing and promotions for the film, including a special Small Soldiers behind-the-scenes experience. Although there is no footage of the experience available from what I could find, there was a press release on the experience that gives some insight on what occurred. The world's most innovative and sophisticated movie-making techniques will be revealed to the Universal Studios Hollywood visitors this summer when Small Soldiers Behind-the-Scenes Experience opens on June 29, 1998. The experience is inspired by the DreamWorks Pictures Universal Pictures co-production of Small Soldiers, hitting screens nationwide on July 10th. Many elements of the new film, which will blend live action with state-of-the-art computer animation, will be included in this exclusive hands-on experience of high-tech movie magic, which features videos narration by the film star Phil Hartman and live appearances by the film's colorful characters. Small Soldiers Behind-the-Scenes Experience will take guests through two of the studio's historic sound stages and onto original sets. In addition, I found a Reddit thread of people discussing the experience. From the OP, it was called Small Soldiers Behind the Scenes Experience, and from what little I've been able to gather, it showcased props from the film and appearances from the Commandos and Gorgonites. It was originally narrated by Phil Hartman, RIP, but with his death occurring so soon before the release of the film, he was changed. I remember reading somewhere Kirsten Dunst and Dennis Leary replaced him as the host. The Hollywood Reporter published an article in 2014 about Fox purchasing the script for a movie titled Toymageddon, with Justin Lin set to produce. At this time, he had left directing for the Fast and Furious franchise. The article describes the high-concept idea that is a mix of Ghostbusters and Jurassic Park that centers around a toy factory that runs amok. No additional updates on the film's production could be found up until Fox is being purchased by Disney in March 2019. In an August 2019 article by Variety, following losses in Q3 during the acquisition, Disney made a decision to axe and cancel many films that were under 20th Century Fox, including Toymageddon, in which it was revealed in a Looper article that it was in fact a remake of the original Small Soldiers movie. In a 2000 article by The Guardian, a suit was filed at a district court in LA by filmmaker Gregory Grant, who charged Spielberg, DreamWorks, and Universal Pictures with copyright infringement of his short film, Ode to G.I. Joe, for their 1998 feature Small Soldiers. Grant claimed that he met with representatives of Spielberg's production company, Amblin Entertainment, in 1991 to discuss expanding his short into a full-length production, and that Spielberg personally requested a 16mm print of the original picture. The suit alleged that Small Soldiers, which was then titled Toy Soldiers at the time, went into development less than a month after Grant was told they would not be moving forward with the project. I could only find stories of the initial suit, but no results or whether the case was dismissed or settled, so we can only speculate in regards to this lawsuit. If you look up multiple Facebook groups and Instagram pages, there are many Small Soldiers fans dedicated to one-to-one recreation of the Gorgonites and Commando Elite figures from the movies. You can even commission or order figures from them, so feel free to check them out. I'll leave a few known FB groups links in the description below. Joe Dante mostly attributed the clashing tone of Small Soldiers as a result of being told to make a movie that appeals to teenagers, only for the sponsor tie-ins and marketing pushing it more towards younger children, resulting in a film that caters to both. With this in mind, there are several deleted and cut footage, with Dante highlighting that many action and explosion scenes were purged from the film altogether. One scene that is still viewable in the trailer for the film is when the commandos explode the Abernathy's house, but the studio did not want to show the explosion on screen. Small Soldiers DVD features include a section for deleted scenes. Some of these scenes include Alan being confronted by his principal, the Gorgonites looking up Gorgon in Alan's PC, the commandos holding the Fimples hostage, and many more. Link to some of these deleted scenes can be found in the description below. Stan Winston's studio was brought in to build, design, and create all of the Commando Elite, Gwendy dolls, and Gorgonites. The studio even went to Hasbro to learn more about the toy design process. In an article by Stan Winston's School of Character Arts, initially the plan for the original production was to film a majority of the live-action toy scenes using puppets on a blue-screen stage, to be later composited by Industrial Light and Magic into the final scenes. However, early in production, Dante decided to shift gears. He opted instead for a live-action approach where the toy puppets were physically present on set, interacting directly with the actors, abandoning the blue screen method altogether. Dante also stated that the original idea was to use mostly puppetry using the puppets provided by Stan Winston. However, Dante said that while shooting, it was much simpler and cheaper to use CGI after the scenes had been shot, so the film is 1/3 puppetry and the rest CGI. What you are seeing is some of the rod puppet footage of the toys moving behind a blue screen, again courtesy of Stan Winston's School of Character Arts. Dick Miller is a frequent actor in director Joe Dante's movies. Dick plays Joe, the Globotech truck driver in the movie. Communication Breakdown by Led Zeppelin is heard during the Gwendy doll takeover in Christie's room, with a poster of Led Zeppelin in the room as well. At the time, Led Zeppelin was known to be very selective and restrictive of how their music is used in films, games, and other media. The song is in the movie, but is not available on the original soundtrack, along with Wannabe by the Spice Girls. The initial promotional artwork for the movie had Chip Hazard holding a gun sideways towards the viewer. This artwork underwent changes, with the gun removed, portraying Chip as if he were reaching out instead. The original, unchanged version of this artwork is seen in the movie as a store display. Later on, an edited version of this original artwork was used for the home video cover. I'm sure I'll miss a few, but there are several scenes showcasing old movies in the background. This includes the movie The Crawling Eye, 1958, which Ocula watches on Allen's TV, To Hell and Back, 1955, when Christie's parents are watching TV, and Frankenstein, 1931, when Freakenstein is watching TV. During the boardroom scene towards the beginning of the movie, CEO Gil Mars asks Irwin and Larry about their toy, Flat Chew, who Irwin states is part of the Belch Brigade toy line. What's interesting about Flat Chew is although in the movie he is a separate monster toy that has nothing to do with the Commando Elite and Gorgonite toy lines, the actual toys for the Small Soldiers movie has a Flat Chew character who comes with armor and a battle axe, who is stated to be part of the Gorgonite faction, having been recruited to help fight the Commando Elite. Titled The Small Soldiers Top Secret Dossier by Irwin Wayfair, this is an in-universe of collected top secret files by the film's character Irwin, the creator of the Gorgonites. The files include concept art for the Gorgonites and Commando Elite, lore about the fantasy world of Gorgon, as well as the vehicles that the Commando Elite would use. In addition, some strange things like the checks Gil Mars pays to the families for their silence and a postcard from the Gorgonites that was sent through mail to Irwin, implying that they had found their home of Gorgon at the end of the movie. Burger King was involved with selling Happy Meal toys in promotion of Small Soldiers, but were completely caught off guard when the movie got a PG-13 rating by the MPAA. In a July 10, 1998 article from E! News, following the PG-13 rating, Burger King is adapting its advertising approach for Small Soldiers to appeal more to an older demographic. Additionally, they have taken the uncommon step of including a disclaimer in their kids' meals. The pamphlet included states, while toys are appropriate for children of all ages, the movie Small Soldiers may contain content that is not suitable for younger children. There were reports of some parents expressing concern over the action figures, particularly disapproving of items such as plastic bazookas and bows and arrows. Allegedly, at least one Burger King franchise has allowed parents who are worried about Small Soldier toys to exchange them for alternatives like Mr. Potato Head. The Burger King woes did not stop there, as there was one particular Small Soldiers Happy Meal toy that was withheld in the state of Oregon due to an unfortunate, unrelated crime carried out in the state. The Thurston High School shooting occurred on May 21, 1998, when Kiplin Kinkle, a freshman, opened fire with a semi-automatic rifle, killing 2 classmates and injuring many others. He also killed his own parents the day before. Due to his name sounding similar to the character of Kip Killigan, many local Burger Kings in the Oregon area refrained from selling the Kip Gilligan toy in Happy Meals. In an article by the Seattle Times, other retailers within the state also followed suit with removing any recognition of the character from their shelves. At Toys R Us, there are no plans to pull the toys, but managers are tracking public feedback. We only had one item, a little keychain with the Killigan character, and we've put it in my office, said Sue Ray, store manager at a Target store. We didn't have any guests ask anything about it, but we thought, just out of respect, we would pull it. Michael Giacchino is a famous movie composer, but before having been involved in the scores for many movies in the past 25 years, he was also a composer for a handful of video games. He is credited as composer and sound design for Small Soldiers Squad Command and the Small Soldiers PS1 game. Originally lost media, there was a teaser trailer for the Small Soldiers movie where the Commando Elite used grappling hooks to trap Godzilla's foot from a crowded museum. It was recently uploaded in low quality by a user in 2023 and is pretty interesting marketing since the 1998 Godzilla movie released May 20th of that same year. In IMDb and several other movie information sites, Anne Spielberg, Steven Spielberg's younger sister, is stated to be an uncredited co-writer for Small Soldiers, but to what capacity is unclear. According to the Small Soldiers wiki page, the movie was delayed for 6 years before its eventual release in 1998, but no source has been cited to clarify this. But more likely, the movie had been in multiple production stages, and IMDb states that shooting began in November 3rd, 1997 and ended in March 10th, 1998. Here are just a few media that have referenced the Small Soldiers movie. American Dad Season 7, Episode 18, Toy Hori has a toy figure that looks similar to Major Chip Hazard. Rick and Morty Season 4, Episode 4, Claw & Hoarder Special Rickdoms Morty, Rick finds small soldier spin pops of Archer and Chip Hazard that the dragon is hoarding. Hypercharge Unboxed, a video game, is a multiplayer shooter that has toys and action figures battling it out, with the developers and their marketing citing Small Soldiers as their main source of inspiration. Puppet Master the game includes one skin named Dogface for one of the Demonic Toys faction that looks fairly similar to Major Chip Hazard. Small Soldiers' soundtrack album was released on July 7th, 1998, with several hits like War, Another One Bites the Dust, Love is a Battlefield, and Tom Sawyer. Sadly, the album did not reach much success, only entering the Billboard 200 at number 103. This was actually mentioned to me in the comments of the last Iceberg video, so props goes to Anna Bussix. Appreciate you for giving me this idea. So from a Reddit post on our fan theories, link to the original post will be in the description below. So Small Soldiers was in the same universe as the Terminator. Like the title says, I've been thinking that the company Globotech seen in Small Soldiers is a subsidiary of Cyberdyne's Skynet. As stated in Small Soldiers, the X-1000 is a military chip capable of learning, reasoning, and adapting. So how would you explain a defense chip named X-1000 being able to give artificial intelligence to toys? It's because the X-1000 was made using what was left of the CPU from the original Terminator. This could explain why Sarah Connor failed to stop the creation of Skynet at the end of T2. I believe that Cyberdyne already had developed the X-1000 chip at a separate facility unbeknownst to Sarah, so it didn't matter if she destroyed Miles Dyson's work with the original CPU from the T-800. Cyberdyne had already backed up his work in case of emergency, so they could keep working on it under the name of Globotech. After the incident at the end of T2, it made sense for them to use a subsidiary in secret as to not attract any attention to their main headquarters. Also, we see that at the end of Small Soldiers how the X-1000 chip's main flaw was its weakness to EMPs, something Globotech, Cyberdyne, took notes on and improved later on. The Gorgonite's Quest book was written by one of the Small Soldiers screenwriters, Gavin Scott, and is the unofficial sequel of the Small Soldiers movie. Written for children between the ages of 9 and 12, the book takes place where the first movie ends, with the Gorgonites sailing out in their new toy boat, establishing a fortress on an island, meeting a boy named Max, and confronting the Commando Elite again. I have not been able to find more of the pages of the book itself besides the cover on Amazon, so I would love anyone in the comments who have the book to provide more details on the book itself in the comments below. For those that own the 12-inch Small Soldiers official action figures for Chip Hazard and Archer, you will notice that their voices are not Tommy Lee Jones or Frank Langella, and are likely sound-alikes. In addition to selling vintage Small Soldier toys, eBay also has several knockoff and bootleg Small Soldier toys that are put in unofficial packaging and tend to be half-ass molds of some of the original toys. Some well-known bootlegs were figures produced in Mexico that included Archer, Insaniac, Chip Hazard, Nick Nitro, and Kip Killigan. They come in various color variations. For instance, Archer ranges from traditional red to blue, green, and black loincloths. Some of these knockoff Archer figures also feature accessories like a crossbow attached to the right forearm guard, while Insaniac comes with his ball and chain. The total production quantity is unknown, and there are additional figures that have been branded or named Little Soldiers and Extreme Soldiers, along with an Archer-inspired figure from something called the Guardian Patrol toy set. One of the rarest unproduced Small Soldiers toys from Kenner Figures included a gimmick called the Battle Changing toy line, with one being a transforming Chip Hazard and the other being an Archer with a roar opening mouth gimmick, the latter of which still gets fake listings on eBay from time to time. Thanks for the info on this, Shluklov. One interesting thing that Small Soldiers merchandise has going for it is rarely having the main human characters in this department, focusing solely on the Gorgonite and Commando Elite characters. But looking through eBay listings, there's some pretty cool Inks Works trading cards that include some of the human characters in the film, along with a brief bio. The original cast for the Commando Elite was the idea of having the original cast of Predator, with Arnold Schwarzenegger taking the role of Major Chip Hazard, but was later changed to the Dirty Dozen cast we know them as today. I just want to read it out, this really funny board game review by someone named Kevin Outlaw of the official Small Soldiers board game, as it gives insight on how the game, as well as the accompanying features and mechanics that made it unique. Link in the description below if you'd like to learn more about the game. So from Kevin Outlaw's review, the aim of the game is to capture the enemy's flag or send all the enemy fighters to the toy store, i.e. kill them. This is achieved using everybody's favorite randomizer, the spinner. In this case, a spinner that is actually integrated into the board. Oh. On your turn, you spin the spinner and then you do what it says. If you spin a number, you can move one of your fingers the full amount. If you spin the draw a card result, you draw a card. If you spin the recruit result, you can bring one of your dead fighters back to life. The card you can draw are not actually cards at all. They are little hexagonal tokens that get stacked up next to the spinner. The tokens provide the second level of randomness for those people who didn't find the spinner random enough to begin with. The tokens come in a variety of exciting flavors, but most of them confer a bonus to the fighter they are allocated to. Weapon +1, Weapon +2, and Armor +1 all give bonus when rolling a dice to fight. And yes, Weapon +1 and Armor 1 are exactly the same thing with different names, while Move +1 and Move +2 give you a movement bonus. All such tokens are discarded after the fighter is involved in a battle or is removed from the board for any reason. There are two other kinds of tokens which are used and then discarded immediately. The first is Globotech Recall, which hilariously allows you to pick an enemy fighter to kill instantly because random death is fun. The other token reads Launch Catapult and allows you to do something slightly less boring. Oh yes, didn't I mention? This game features a dexterity element. Every time you draw a special token, you take the plastic catapult, bend it back, and then fling the plastic wrecking ball across the table. If you knock any fighters down, they are removed from the game. This actually sounds a lot more fun than it is, mainly because in adherence to the theme that is above and beyond the Call of Duty, all the characters on the good side have really wide bases that hardly ever fall over. One has a massive triangular base, for goodness sake, while all the characters on the evil side have tiny bases and fall over if you breathe too heavily. This makes it almost impossible for the evil players to rely on the catapult to kill anything. Luckily, there is another way to kill your opponent. You can battle an enemy fighter by standing next to him and rolling a dice. Your opponent gets to roll 2, and the person who rolls the lowest is removed from the game. If both players roll skull, then both figures are removed from play. Yeah, that's right. It's a good old-fashioned dice-off for those people who didn't think the spinner and the cards were random enough. Of course, if you have randomly spun the chance to randomly draw a card that might randomly be a power-up, you might have a marginally better chance of randomly rolling a better result than your opponent. The only thing that won't be random is your level of interest in the game by that point, which will have bottomed out shortly after putting the three-dimensional board together for the first time. You win the game by killing everyone or placing one of your fighters on the same space as your opponent's flag. The good news is, the designer realized these rules might be a little lightweight for some gamers, so some variant rules were thrown into the back of the rulebook to spice things up. These rules include starting the game with a hand of 5 cards of which you can play a single card before taking your turn as normal, and B, allowing you to move all of your fighters when you spin a movement result rather than just a single fighter. These variant rules don't really add any strategy and don't really reduce the level of luck involved, but they do make the game mercifully brief. You may have noticed that this sounds like a game for only 2 players. Well, fear not. If you have 4 willing victims, everyone can play in an exciting team variant in which each player will control 3 fighters. This variant adds extra enjoyment in the form of player elimination. If your 3 fighters are killed, you have to sit out until the game ends, or some mean bastard revives one of your dead fighters. And that's your lot. Yes, it's a children's game, and perhaps I shouldn't expect too much from a children's game, but damn it, I've played other children's games that have been really good. I play crossbows and catapults all the time, and I have a blast. No, I don't think the fact that this is a children's game excuses the sloppy design. I guess this is the set of small soldiers destined to my daughter's sandpit after all. A bunch of monsters and soldiers should give those Sylvanians something to worry about. Here are just a few Gorgonite tidbits from all of the media surrounding Small Soldiers that I found interesting. Most of the designs of the Gorgonite were inspired by the He-Man Masters of the Universe toy line, hence the radically different creature designs of each Gorgonite. Nibble is a Gorgonite from the PS1 Small Soldiers video game and the only Gorgonite that can fly. Aside from the PS1 game showcasing the Gorgonite's home of Gorgon, the fictional land of Gorgon has been cited to be a distant planet according to Erwin Wayfair's secret dossier. If you combine this with how the PS1 game story plays out, the Commando Elite were somehow able to invade the planet Gorgon through their technology, which would explain why the Gorgonites' lore in their toy would end up lost on Earth, as the game explains that they do have dimensional temples and weird portals that act as gateways from one world to another. Now, here are just a few Commando Elite tidbits from some of the media around Small Soldiers that I also found interesting. The Commando Elite were likely inspired by the G.I. Joe toy line, a popular military action figure. Link Static was portrayed to be the communications and tech expert of the Commando Elite and was never seen with any official weapons from his box, nor indication of having a signature weapon in the promotional materials, which theorizes that he may have served as the medic of the team as well, possibly. However, in the Squad Commander PC game, he was given a flamethrower. Towards the end of the movie, Erwin states that each Commando Elite figure was $79.95, making a full set of the Commando Elite roughly $480. Another entry about Flat Chew, thanks to Blake the Seamster for providing that information and the concept work behind it. So before the original 7 Gorgonites, there was apparently an earlier draft where there was 9 Gorgonites. One of these Gorgonites was Warto. He was described as a creature stung by 1,000 killer bees and wore a helmet with bat wings. However, most of the concept art and sculptures never show him wearing this helmet. Of course, the 9 Gorgonites were cut down to the 7 Gorgonites, and the 2 who were removed were Warto and Scarpuss. Warto's design would later be transferred over to the toy's design we now know as Flat Chew. The writers of the Small Soldiers script include Gavin Scott, Adam Rifkin, Ted Elliott, and Terry Rossio. Through the magic of the editing process, many drafts and versions of a final script would change both the tone, characters, and even entire scenes that are different from what we end up getting on the big screen. In this case, this 1997 Small Soldiers script draft, or as we will call it, the Adam Rifkin draft, has huge differences when comparing to the final film we would end up getting. Thanks again to Blake the Seamster for providing this entry. I will make the link to the script available in the description below, but here are just a few major differences that this script makes when compared to the final film. Alan Abernathy's family are now humble farmers that use oil lamps and candles. Alan has a friend named Marshall. Alan's love interest, Christy, now has the name Charity. Alan ends up getting Major Chip Hazard and Archer through a raffle at the mall that his friend Marshall put him under. Instead of the Gwendy dolls attacking Christy, they are called Cindy dolls, which the Commando Elite turned into Zom Cindies. The way that the toys can be destroyed were their kill buttons, which would press them and deactivate them rather than using an EMP blast to kill them. There was also a lot more absurdist and adult humor, with a scene where Larry attempts to flirt with Gilmar's secretary, in which he makes fun of the size of his man-bits, as well as Erwin Wilfer having a box on his head when meeting the family because he has not been outside of his office in years. The only thing I can find about this style guide was from a user on Reddit under r/lostmedia describing it in a post. I'm in search of the Small Soldiers Digital Style Guide 2 CD box set released in 1998. It contains promotional materials and design elements that were used to promote and market the film around the time. This included fonts, graphics, line art, box art, logos, that sort of thing. But more importantly, it apparently contains 360 images of the studio maquettes of each character/toy. These haven't been released online that I've seen for over 25 years now. Proper images of the characters and their designs are hard to come by nowadays. Not a lot of the content from that film exists, with it being released just on the cusp of the internet, but what does still exist will be on these CDs. They pop up every few years or so, but they fall immediately into the hands of collectors who seem unwilling to share what is on them. Here's an image of the front of the box along with photos of the discs themselves. Troglodyte is an interesting character in the movie, as he's the only Gorgonite that was ripped apart and seemingly killed by the Commando Elite. However, thanks to his fellow Gorgonites, he was put back together with whatever parts remained and a ham radio. Despite being known as Troglodyte, even Archer calling him by his name in the movie, merchandising and games have named him Freakenstein. But why? According to the official Small Soldiers scrapbook, Joey Roscoe, a co-designer at Stan Winston's studio, originally Freakenstein was just a toy that was put together very strangely. The producers liked the design so much that they added in the story that prior to his transformation in Freakenstein, he was Troglodyte, Archer's right-hand man. Shout out to Schleckikoff for providing this entry in the comments. The previously lost Small Soldiers manga, illustrated by Uyema Michiro, has been scanned and archived on a website. Link to the website is in the description below. The manga itself was apparently made for a toy catalog during the promotion of the movie. In the Squad Commander PC game, one interesting original character not seen in the movies or merchandise is known as Vasquez, a female Commando Elite. The character in general is an Easter egg to Private First Class Jeanette Vasquez from the sci-fi horror blockbuster film Aliens. During the 25th anniversary of the Small Soldiers movie, Corey Coleman of Double Toasted podcast on YouTube briefly mentions the existence of a canceled Small Soldiers Saturday morning cartoon by a studio called Human Code.
I digress. The thing is, that other division, when I got there, they were working on a series, a TV show for Small Soldiers, and it looked cool because it was going to be a 3D animated cell shaded show. Okay. And yeah, they had sold it, man, and they were in mid production on this, and I remember going down there and talking to them, and they were, showing me all kind of cool stuff from it, and concept animation and everything. And then the movie bombed, and they're like, "Yep, well, you ain't finishing that shit." They came and yanked the plug on it, and yeah, I forgot about that. But it looked like it would have been a cool show. Show probably would have been better than the movie, if they had had a chance to do it, and they just didn't get that chance, man.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it was too bad. And the thing is,
Bone Thugs and Harmony are a hip-hop group who made the song War with an accompanying music video that you are seeing right now. The song interpolates the chorus of Edwin Starr's 1970 song of the same name, which is the song you actually hear in the movie during the scooter chase scene. Bobby Labonte drove this stock car with a promotional decal on the hood of the car with Major Chip Hazard in 2 races during the 1998 NASCAR Winston Cup season for the Joe Gibbs Racing in the Winston 500 at Talladega Superspeedway on Sunday, October 11th. Labonte started in 2nd position, led 9 laps, and finished 6th. The following weekend in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona International Speedway on Saturday, October 17th, Labonte started on the pole, led 4 laps, and finished 2nd. Small Soldiers' VHS release made it one of the only PG-13 movies to be sold in the clamshell case.